Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you can guesswork. Please guys participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a woman called Mrs. Reynolds being interviewed by a police officer about an incident she saw the previous evening. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5.
Well, if you can just tell me everything you remember, it doesn't matter how trivial it seems. What may seem unimportant to you may not be unimportant to us.
OK, I'll do what I can, officer. Well, as I said, I'd just come out of the cinema on the high street, so it was about 8 o'clock, just before 8, in fact. I'd been to see a film with a friend, and she'd just gone off home. So I was just standing there wondering what to do, whether to go and have a cup of coffee somewhere or not. I was just standing there, minding my own business, when I suddenly heard someone shouting directly opposite me outside the library. Not screaming, just shouting. It sounded like the voice of an elderly woman. "They've got my bag! They've got my bag!" she was shouting. Then these two men raced past me, going like the wind, straight down the street and round the corner into West Street. It all happened so quickly, I think they must have had a car waiting for them there, because I heard one drive off at top speed. Well, I didn't know what on earth to do, whether to try and chase them, whether to ring the police, or whether to go and see if she was all right. Another woman was running up behind me, so I shouted back at her to go and call the police. Anyway, when I got to the woman, she seemed to be all right, thank goodness. A bit shaken, but OK. I think I was much more upset than she was. All in all, she was pretty calm. I don't think I would have been, but apparently it had happened to her once before, so maybe that's why. You know, I've got a friend who refuses to go out alone anywhere after 6 o'clock now. What's this town coming to?
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10.
Well, anyway, she just kept saying, "I didn't see a thing. I didn't see a thing." One of them had just pushed her from behind, and as she put out a hand to steady herself, the other one had just taken the bag from under her arm, and then he raced off across the road. I asked her what she'd had in it, and she said she'd had her purse with about £15 in it, but no chequebook or cards or things like that, and luckily she had her front door key in her pocket. Oh, and she'd had her bus pass taken too.
Let's get back to the two men, if we can. Just tell me everything you can remember about them.
Well, there was a younger one and an older one.
Well, let's start with the younger one, shall we?
Well, age first then. He only looked about 17, not more, something like that. Neither very tall nor small. Sort of slim build. Not anybody you'd notice. Nothing particularly special about him. An ordinary-looking sort of bloke. He had curly black hair, which was quite long, but apart from that, as I say, not someone you'd notice in a crowd. Nothing really distinct about him at all. But the other one, the older one, he was different.
Different?
Yes, different. I feel as if I'd know him anywhere again. I got more of a look at him, because he ran across the road more slowly than the younger man. I remember being surprised, because he was quite a bit older than the other one. I'd say about 35. Funny, because you don't think of people of that age snatching handbags in broad daylight like that, do you? He was quite a bit smaller than the other man, and medium build.
What did he look like? You didn't give the officer much information last night.
Well, I did get quite a good look at his face. No beard or moustache, clean-shaven, and quite smart-looking, really. He had light brown hair cut very short, a sort of army haircut. And there was another thing. Thinking about it all last night, over and over again, I'm almost sure he had a small scar on his chin. Now, I didn't tell the other policeman that last night, but in my mind, each time I see his face, I can see one.
A scar on his chin? That could be important. Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds. You've been really helpful. If you really think you'd recognise him again, then what we'd like you to do later this morning, if you can, is to come down to the police station and look at a few photographs for us. See if any of those ring a bell.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a recorded message giving information about an English hotel. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15.
Welcome to the Bridge Hotel Information Line. The Bridge Hotel is part of the Compact Group, which is a large association of family-owned hotels offering a warm, friendly atmosphere and high-quality service at competitive prices. All of them cater for a wide range of people, from business to leisure clients. Set in a quiet residential area on the attractive outskirts of Belford, about 3 miles from the city centre, the Bridge Hotel is a popular choice for conferences. After recent refurbishment and expansion, it now has 25 double rooms and 20 singles. All 45 are en suite, with TV and coffee and tea-making facilities. The Bridge Hotel is set in 3.5 hectares of grounds, with an open-air swimming pool and 4 tennis courts. There is also a newly opened gym with fitness suite, which is considered one of the best equipped in the area. Non-resident membership is available. We have a fully licensed restaurant for residents and non-residents, which provides a wide range of dishes with a particular focus on dishes from around the world. For the discerning business customer, We have designated business rooms with phone links allowing full internet access. Our conference facilities cater for up to 200 delegates, and we are able to offer transport to guests to and from Birmingham Airport at a small extra cost.
Before you hear the rest of the message, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20.
There now follows information about short break packages.
Welcome to the Bridge Hotel Short Breaks Information Line. We offer 3 packages: 2-day, 3-day and 5-day. The 2-day costs £75 per person per night and includes full cooked breakfast and evening entertainment. Very popular for weekend getaways. The 3-day break costs £60 per person per night, and in addition to offers for the 2-day break, includes 1 4-course dinner. This allows guests to enjoy the full range of hotel facilities. The 5-day break costs £52 per person per night, and in addition to offers from the 2- and 3-day breaks, includes free beauty therapy on 2 days and a full-day pass to a golf club. This package is particularly popular with couples who want a completely relaxing break. If you would like more information about these special packages, call extension 3469 to speak to our customer service manager, John Martin. Thank you for calling the Bridge Hotel Information Line.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You hear 2 students, Anne and Fergus, planning a project that they need to submit to their university tutor. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
I'm glad I'm doing this project with you, Fergus. I think we will work very well together. How do you think we should go about it? I really like the idea of a project on how potato crisps are made. I did find the whole production process a bit complicated in the lecture, though. It may only take about 15 minutes to get from potato to crisp in a sealed bag, but there are a lot of steps in that process.
I think it would be clearer to us if we draw up a flowchart. Then we can see what pieces of machinery are needed for each point in the process.
Good idea. I remember that the potatoes they use have to be less than 24 hours out of the ground, so they need to be transported by truck to the factory very quickly. Then, once they come off the truck, they are put straight into the crisp-making machine. And that's a continuously moving conveyor system that passes the potatoes through numerous barrels, tubs, funnels, and fryers. I just can't remember the order.
Well, it's quite amazing, all completely automated. After the potatoes are loaded onto the conveyor belt, they pass through rolling barrels that brush the dirt off them. Then they travel along a water canal to the peeler.
The peeler takes the skin off, right?
Yes, the potatoes tumble around abrasive rollers until the skin is removed. My notes say the peeler can skin 12,000 pounds of potatoes an hour. Then they move on to another conveyor that separates the potatoes into sizes. The smaller ones drop through gaps in the conveyor, and the larger ones are chopped into smaller pieces that then fall into the rinser, joining the smaller potatoes. They are now all about the same size.
Then, from what I remember in the lecture, they go along the rinser conveyor where they are sprayed with water before they get into the slicer. This is where they are cut into the crisp shapes. Here, they are spun in a huge drum with adjustable blades. From just one potato, they get enough crisps for a small packet.
And then they are rinsed in cold water for about a minute before they pass along another conveyor belt, which dries off the excess water with an air blower.
Okay, that's all a bit clearer now. So then they enter and move through the long fryer, which contains canola oil boiling at 190 degrees Celsius. They exit the fryer, still on a metal conveyor belt, and the excess oil drips through perforations in the belt.
After that, they pass through an electronic scanner, which identifies any brown spots or defects and blows individual chips off the conveyor belt with air pressure. It's amazing.
Yes, that electronic scanner is genius. No more burnt crisps in the packet. Then they get a shower of salt and are sprayed with flavorings before dropping through a funnel. The funnel weighs out portions to be packaged. These portions then drop into bags that get heat sealed. And there you have a packet of crisps.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30.
Okay, that flowchart has made everything a lot clearer. Now our project is to come up with some way to reduce the amount of water consumption in the process. How are we going to go about this?
We definitely need to visit a factory ourselves and talk to the people who run the machines. I want to find out why the slices need to be in cold water for 1 minute. This might be a part of the process that we could reduce. Perhaps the conveyor belt could be shorter here, if we can, say, get the time down to 30 seconds and save that amount of water.
Or we could recycle the water from that process, which is relatively clean, for the first rinsing step before the potatoes are peeled. What do you think? It's only the stage where the last of the dirt is being taken off.
That's brilliant. Now the assignment doesn't have to be on the part of the process that involves frying and packaging. It is the preparation section that we need to focus on. Once we decide on the modifications to be done to the machine, we have to present them in design form. You are much better at that than me. I can write most of the text to go with it.
That's fine with me, as long as the ideas come from both of us. Fergus, can you also arrange the factory visit? Then we can go together. I can't wait to see the machines in action.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear a part of a lecture about fillings in teeth. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Today, we are going to look at how tooth decay is managed through the repair of dental caries by inserting cavity fillings into teeth. Statistically speaking, quite a few of you in this lecture theater would have fillings in your teeth, but being on the receiving end of a filling does not necessarily mean you know what is being done in your mouth. Tooth decay destroys the surface layer or the enamel of a tooth. This usually occurs in the natural crevices of the occlusal surfaces, or the areas where the teeth touch, in the back molars of the teeth. The decay is caused by a buildup of bacterial matter called plaque, which breaks down the enamel surface. There are varying degrees of this decay. It may just affect a very superficial part of the enamel layer of the tooth, in which case the affected enamel can be simply ground down to reveal undamaged enamel. If the decay passes through the hard enamel layer and into the softer layer under it, called dentine, a cavity filling will need to be done. Should the cavity go as far as reaching the delicate, living pulp of the tooth, at the center of the dentine layer, a more aggressive type of procedure called a root canal filling is required, which involves destroying the pulp and the nerve endings and blood vessels it contains and completely filling the large cavity that is left. Another option is to remove the tooth entirely and replace it with a dental implant, a metal post which is surgically embedded into the jawbone so that the prosthetic replacement tooth can be attached to it. Let's look at the most common procedure, which is a cavity filling for a tooth where the dentine layer has been compromised. The dentist cleans away the remaining decay in the tooth with a drill after the patient has received a numbing local anesthetic. This removal of decayed enamel and dentine prevents further damage, but the tooth now needs to be repaired with a filling to make it sound again. Cavity filling material was traditionally a silver metal amalgam, but now most dentists have started using composite resin to fill teeth, as it has the advantage of being able to be color matched to that of the enamel, while amalgam fillings are the color of metal. In the past, amalgam fillings were the more durable option, but now configurations of composite resin have been developed which are nearly as durable. A composite resin filling is injected into the prepared cavity in a paste form with a pump syringe that allows the dentist to fill the cavity in layers of the resin. Each layer is hardened separately by curing it with ultraviolet light in a process called photopolymerization. This means the paste can mold exactly to the shape of the cavity. After the final layer, the dentist then shapes the surface to match the natural occlusal surface of the tooth. Amalgam is used to fill the teeth in a similar way. Silver amalgam is a combination of silver, tin, and mercury, and is mixed in a machine in the surgery before being inserted. Remember, the composite resin arrives already mixed in a pump syringe. With an amalgam filling, the dentist needs to remove more of the tooth to create retention grooves. This means carving certain angles and bevels into the teeth so that the filling locks into the structure of the tooth, a bit like a jigsaw. In this way, it is less likely to fall out. This is not necessary with composite resin, as it uses a chemical bonding process, rather than relying on more mechanical retention. The amalgam is packed tightly into the cavity and then molded and carved to fit the shape of the tooth surface. It takes about 24 hours to harden completely, so the patient needs to avoid chewing in that time. The important thing for both processes is that all the decaying tooth matter is completely removed before the tooth is filled, or the decay may return under the filling and might result in the loss of the tooth. The choice of whether to have composite resin or amalgam fillings can be decided upon the balance of a number of factors. Composite resin fillings are more aesthetically pleasing, as they are the same color as the teeth, and their insertion means that less tooth matter needs to be removed, so the teeth are less compromised in terms of strength and durability. Also, composite resin does not contain mercury, which is of concern to many patients. Amalgam fillings, however, are less expensive and more durable.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.